are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. There's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salt.
I'm Cam. Gentlemen, how are we?
We're good.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Cam?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Always going to ask.
Yep. Otherwise, you get a little bit snippy.
How are the brewskis, Robbo?
Good. Yeah, things are ticking over at the Short Jaw Tap Room, 10 Lyndhurst Street, Westport.
Got a good little Pilsner going?
Yep, got a Pilsner. Got 2 Pilsners on tap, actually.
All right, fantastic. Glad to hear it. All right, now that we've got all of the niceties out of the way.
Just what you're after, is it, Cam? A little Pilsner?
A little Pilsner, maybe a little ale?
A little New Zealand Pilsner?
You like a Pils there, Cam?
I was just trying to be polite, Robbo. Today we're talking about the Queen.
So you weren't genuine?
Queen likes little pills?
Oh, no way. The Queen, I bet the Queen likes a British-style real ale for a photo shoot, and probably a port and nothing else.
Mm.
Yeah.
Doesn't she famously like a little sherry?
Oh, sherry. No, sherry makes more sense. Yeah.
So
the Queen has, before we start doing this, the Queen, the British Queen in particular,
the
Commonwealth as we know it, the approval rating in the UK is like 81%.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But who are these 19% that don't approve of her?
Yeah, that's what I'm outraged by. Yeah.
No, it's a pretty good effort for someone who does fuck all.
Yeah, somebody that just soaks up public cash. She's good at doing that, eh? It's great.
Our theme today is the real Queen, and we're going to be talking about a couple of queens. I noticed when I was Googling for stuff about the real Queen, one of the, you know how Google offers you up like the stupid questions that other people have asked?
Yeah.
And one of them was, who is the Queen in real life? And it's Queen Elizabeth II. Or is it?
Yes. Oh. Where do we want to start? We're going to start with the Queen's cousins first.
Yeah, let's start with this Queen thing, and then we'll move on to other queens.
Because there's not much to this one. It's just the actual conspiracy.
Yeah.
So basically the Queen has 2 cousins that the family said were dead in like the 60s.
Mm.
And
they put it in Burke's peerage that they were dead. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, they died. And then it turned out the entire time they were in an institution.
Yeah. What is Burke's carriage, Cam?
Burke's peerage.
Carriage, sorry.
It's like the Who's Who book.
Right.
Who's Who of peers. So, you know, obviously you'd know Who's Who, Robbo. Because it's, you know, the 1980s.
Yep.
But imagine if Who's Who was just for, you know, queens and kings and dukes and people like that. That's what Burke's peerage is. So it's just a big list of all of those people. And I guess they go to like the family to keep it updated. And at some point they went to the mum of the Queen's cousins and they were like, what's going on with Nerissa and Catherine, Beau's lion? And she's like, they're dead. Just put them down as dead.
Yeah.
Later on, they tried to explain this away. They're like, oh, their mum very vague woman. I feel like putting down the death date of your children on the phone to the Burke's Peerage person is very specific. I think it's a very specific thing to do. It's not really a vague thing to do.
So at the time, the terminology of the era, this is from Wikipedia, both were classified as imbeciles and never learned to talk, which, I watched a couple of little documentaries and stuff about this, and a lot of people said, and I think this is true, I'm not condoning it by any stretch, a lot of people said that this is kind of what happened then. If you're a rich family and you've got a child that you don't really want to deal with, just the vibes might be off, you just pop them in a home, pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did. So
they did that.
I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
They did that, and at some point they said they're dead. And then, decades later, some journalists worked out, no, they were alive for a long time. They died. Yeah, they died. One of them died in 1986, and one of them died in 2014.
The family also kind of claimed not to know anything about it. I think the Queen Mother said she didn't know anything about it. And soon after it was revealed, or about that time, she had become a disability advocate, heading up one of the big kind of groups there. But despite everyone sort of claiming they didn't know anything about it, the fees, the £125 fee, was paid every year just by someone.
Yeah.
So someone in the family knew. It was either a butler that was just being helpful that had been with them, or someone. Yeah. So this was in The Crown. The television show The Crown?
Yeah.
They talked about it in that. And there was a documentary in the early 2000s called The Queen's Hidden Cousins, which is kind of interesting because it's disappeared completely off YouTube and it's nowhere on the internet. I think I found it. That's right. I found it on Reddit documentaries, and I clicked it, and everyone in the comments was complaining because the site that it was hosted on was just full of porn links.
Yep.
And suspicious ads and stuff. As soon as you hit play, ads were coming up. I had ad blocker on, so I didn't see any of them. So I started watching it. It was pretty interesting, but sort of nothing that you can't find on Wikipedia. But what I did note was there's one on YouTube under the same name, The Queen's Hidden Cousins. It's actually a different documentary called The Queen and Her Cousins, and it's a real softball kind of British people, fucking Britishing about in the countryside, going, "Oh, did you know you're related to the Queen? Oh, I am. Oh, blah blah blah." And everyone's just sitting around having tea and being rich. But they've called it the one. It's been uploaded under the name of the one that people are looking for scandal.
How suspicious!
Even to the point on when BuzzFeed had an article about all this, and referenced the episode from The Crown, they had footage, they had put together a video and stuff, and all their footage was from the softball one, so even they got fooled into thinking it was the legitimate one, which I thought was very suspicious. I feel like someone is, obviously trying to make us all think that the documentary isn't so bad.
A very helpful butler whipping out the Windows Movie Maker.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, because the other documentary is a legitimate. Yeah, it looks like Escape to the Country, or one of those British shows.
So the conspiracy theory, though, is just that. It's really quite simple. The conspiracy theory is that they got the Queen Elizabeth, realised that in the parlance of the time she was developmentally disabled, and they've swapped her out with one of the cousins.
Yes.
And so the real Queen has died in an institution, which is a bit rough.
Would she still have been made Queen if she was publicly
I think that they don't have a huge amount of choice in these things, except if they do, in that they can swap people out. But I think you've got to go with who you've got. That's sort of the tradition, right?
Is it though? Who makes the rules here? Don't they just make the rules?
Well, no, I think that there's some quite clear rules, and this is why perhaps in the parlance of the time you've had some slightly mad rulers over the years, mate.
But who makes the rules though?
They made them up ages ago. There's a lineage.
Yeah, but you just change it, right? If you're a royal family and you're like, we're in charge of everything and we just take all the public's money and don't do shit.
I think this is the downside is that you get all the money, but you got to follow the rules and you don't get to change them. Someone like hundreds of years ago came up with the rules.
But then they do change the ruling family now and then, right? Or is that usually only just through conquest and war?
I think it's just through conquest and war and like marriage.
Yeah, right. So who administers this whole operation then? If the Queen can't say, or like, the outgoing Queen or King is leaving, and they're going, oh, actually, look, the next one's a bit, we're just going to give it to someone else. Like, who's in charge to say, oh, no, you can't do that?
I don't think
it's kind of like, is it just an agreement? We all just agree this lady's now in charge based on like whatever that agreement they have is. Is this it? Is this how it works?
Yeah, Robbo, I hate to tell you, this is how it works.
I was already mad about it before I got here.
Because I think by the time they're like, oh, it's time for, the Queen's dead, it's time for the new monarch, it's too late to swap anyone out. You've got to swap them out when they're young.
You can't
just change it.
Isn't there a whole thing that Prince Charles won't ever be king because they'll just skip him over?
Yeah. Is that how it's supposed to work, though?
No.
Well, I think that
I
think Prince Charles would be king then.
No, but people are saying he's not going to be because he'll be skipped over.
I think they'd want to skip him. I think they'd want to skip him over.
I really hope someone who's like a royal fan and a royal watcher listens to this.
Yeah.
Just gets mad at how little we know about this.
If you are, tweet at Ale of a Time with any corrections.
Yeah, tweet me.
Right, so that's the Queen.
Are you saying the Queen's dead though as well?
A lot of people are saying the Queen is dead. I think that there must be some butler checking the trending topics on Twitter and being like, all right, we've reached a fever pitch of people saying the Queen is dead. We need to wheel her out for one thing. And then we'll let the speculation build up until it's reached a certain point, and then we'll weekend to Bernie's her again.
Because they just had a Jubilee and she popped up for that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they used a hologram, didn't they?
Yeah, so that doesn't help with it. And they know. They have to know, right? That like when people are talking about the Queen, they're often talking about, oh, she's definitely dead. So when they're like, oh, let's get a hologram.
No, absolutely not. The world they're in, we are so far removed from it. Because as I said, she's got an 81% approval rating in the UK. They know they can just heap on whatever dumb shit they've got, including a fucking hologram in a parade, and people are going to lap it up. And people did lap it up. People loved it.
I reckon, like, the Dark Butler. Because, they've got butlers and they've got the Dark Butlers. This is just
ones that do the dirty work.
They do the dirty work. Yeah, you've got the ones that you got the ones that clean up, and you got the ones that make a mess. They're doing all the work.
Dirty butlers.
Yeah, they're killing Princess Diana. They're putting the fake documentary up on YouTube, and I reckon those guys have to be like, we know that people say the Queen is dead. They know, even if like there's a lot of people in those circles that are like oblivious to what's going on. Oh, 81% approval. They'd be the ones that are like paying attention to the 19%.
And so what do you think they're doing in this hologram situation?
Well, they're the ones that should be putting a stop to the holograms.
But why though? Because the people just lapped it up anyway. Nothing changes.
This is true.
Like, there's no consequence for them if they just wheel her out anyway, weekend at Bernie style or not. People are still happy with it. People get a higher, have some self-respect.
Yeah.
Your entire country is just showing how little self-respect you have for each other and for yourselves. The Brexit thing has just been a disaster. You're loving a hologram of some rich lady who's probably dead. Come on, lift your game. Don't even start me on your food.
Yeah. So the Queen, not real, but we have another Queen that's not real. So let's talk a little bit about Queen Romana of Canada. And now Queen of the World, I've seen.
Yeah, just this month I think she claimed to be Queen of the World.
Which is good. This is what you wanted, Robbo. Bit of a change. Well, you're the one that wanted to change. You wanted someone to just come in and be like, we're changing who the Queen is.
No, you got me there.
Then someone does it. It's like, oh, I don't know about this.
I'm very much on record as saying that. So who is this Queen of Canada and Queen of the World now?
So she's like a QAnon influencer in Canada. She drives around in an RV, a recreational vehicle, I believe. That's what that stands for. And she's, over the past year and a bit, I think she's been driving back and forth across Canada, just collecting followers. And she has I saw an article that said she had 72,000 followers on Telegram or something. I think she might have even more now.
Yeah, so she's been claiming this for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Then QAnon happened, and then it really took off.
Well, I don't know. I'm not quite sure of the timeline, because I think that she's definitely into QAnon. I think that maybe the logic is, in the QAnon world, the Queen was executed for crimes. And so she has said, well, if the Queen is dead, as she definitely is, why don't I just, there's a vacancy. So I'll take that.
No. So she was, and I tried to go back pre kind of this whole chaotic QAnon thing to find, online what I could find. And she was doing things before that, but on a very small scale. And then QAnon people picked it up and they went, oh, okay, then this lady's claiming to be queen. So she probably is. There's 2 QAnon people that really pushed it. And so then she really took off. And I think this was 2019. And around that time was the time she was telling her followers to stop paying their bills. Because you don't need to, and you just don't do it, and then nothing's going to happen. And then on her Telegram channels, everyone's like, I haven't been paying my bills and my power's been cut off. What should I do? And obviously she didn't reply to any of them.
No.
But it became quite a big issue with her followers, all getting their utilities cut off.
Not just getting their utilities cut off, but then they'd come on and be like, what do I do? Can you talk to them? But there's also a lot of, they won't play any of your videos. I keep sending them your videos and they refuse to watch them.
Was she also the one that kicked off the whole sovereign citizen serving people movement?
So she was doing that in Canada. So that happened here in Australia as well. I think it started in the UK though. That's where I first started seeing it. But it's the exact same thing, but it was just the Queen telling people to do it in Canada. So we had some figureheads in Australia that were telling people to do it, but no one claiming to be a royalty, just self-appointed sheriffs.
So I tried to go back. So this lady, one of the interesting things about her is she's not interesting at all.
No, she's not charismatic.
Not at all.
She does. It's a very confusing fact that she has garnered such a following.
Yeah. And I'm confused quite frequently by some of these people that have got big followings, right up to the top in the Donald Trump. And this is probably one of the most bewildering I've seen, because she's really boring to watch on the YouTube. She does a lot. I went back through one of her old YouTube channels that I found, and it's all in French, Spanish. Maybe it's just French and Spanish, and there was nothing in English on there. So I'm wondering if she had one channel for English and then one for French and Spanish, which, to be fair, is pretty good. Good work on knowing 3 languages, and also good way to diversify your audience. If you're, Spanish and French is spoken pretty widely, so you've got to give her credit for that. But it was still boring, regardless of the language. She has issued 79 decrees, one of which is raising the age of consent in Canada
to 24.
Yes.
I don't think that was one of her more popular decrees with her followers.
No. The Vice article that I was reading about this said that some of her followers bristled at that, which is kind of implying something, but I mean, it is a ridiculous thing to say. Her political party that she tried to get up and running pre this tour that she's doing now, which I think is still going for this political party, which is Canada First. And I don't know, did anyone watch the Canada First political video?
No, surely Canada First as a party name was already taken by somebody.
No, she really lucked into that one. So Canada First has 2 goals. Number 1, to put Canada first. Number 2, to put Canadians first.
Yep, makes sense.
Which is effective messaging, I reckon.
Yeah, it does. I think it raises questions. Because it's like, all right, I was on board with putting Canada first, but then you're like, no, let's put Canadians first, second. So what were we putting first?
Canada.
Yeah. But then we're putting Canadians first.
Wouldn't that be the concept of, like, wouldn't they just be like the concept of whatever they think Canada is?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's just stealing from Donald Trump, right?
I think Donald Trump would have said we're going to put one thing first, and then that's it. We're just going to put America first. It wouldn't be like we're going to put America first, and then we're going to put Americans first. Then we're going to put Americanism first, and American exceptionalism first. Because also, you can only have one thing that's first.
Well, no, these are just goals.
You can only have your goal can only be to have one thing first. You know
a tie.
This is true.
Equal first.
Yeah, but yeah, Canadians is implied in Canada first. Is that what you're saying, Cam?
I thought so, but I would have thought so. But then the fact that they say we're going to put Canada first, and secondly we'll put Canadians first, makes me wonder what the first one was implying, what it's supposed to include.
So she said in one of her videos as well, I'm Ramona Didulo, the founder and leader of Canada First. As of February this year, 2021, I'm the head of state and commander-in-chief of Canada, the Republic. The people who appointed me are the white hats in the US military, together with the global allied troops and their government. The same group of people have helped President Donald Trump. I feel like global allied troops come up as the bad guys in this whole universe.
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to want a world government.
No, apparently it's good. She also put out a video addressing that, so there's Indigenous children, bodies of Indigenous children were found in mass graves in Canada. She's obviously used that for her own good to say they were, she's going to investigate to see if they were killed for adrenochrome harvesting. Imagine seeing that kind of a thing and thinking, I'm going to use this for my own.
Yeah. It's a bit cooked. She did also come out big against illegal immigration. I think at one point she visited some fairly far right people, and then she started talking about illegal immigration. It's just sort of weird for this Filipino Canadian woman to be coming out on this massive anti-multiculturalism kick.
Yeah. Does that tie in, and maybe I'm crossing the wires, I think I did see her talking about, no, I did, sorry, I went back to her old Twitter account, because there's a Twitter account still up, which I don't think many people have found, or I didn't see it discussed anywhere. It's twitter.com/999romana, and there is a lot of stuff about President Duterte in there doing fascism and how it's great.
Yep.
And it's undeniably her, because there's also a lot of stuff about Canada in there as well.
The one thing I did notice about her on social media is she is just all over it, even though QAnon was supposed to have been purged.
Well, this account hasn't been active since 2020.
Yeah.
But does she have other ones?
Well, I was finding heaps of stuff, at least reposts of her on Twitter. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube.
I also found a fundraiser that she started on a platform, fundraiser.com. But razor's spelt like if you're the mobile phone, the Moto Razor, RAZR. I think this is pre her getting cooked, because it was come from the date of it. Canadian police dogs need bulletproof vests is the fundraiser. So which is something that I don't know enough about, but I guess so. But people are still giving it money, but it's only raised $26. 2013 it started. People are commenting now in 2021. Scam, fuck you, grifter. This is Fraser Short said in 2021. I mean, Fraser, you're 7 years after it started.
Yeah. I think there's probably a more up-to-date fundraiser you could be commenting this stuff on. Because she has been raising tens of thousands of dollars for her RV, I think.
Right. And none of it's going to the dogs?
No. The dogs are completely without bulletproof vests.
Just to give you an idea on how your contribution will be spent, we've chosen to raise funds for the top 100 largest Canadian cities by population. How many Canadian cities are there?
Well, I mean,
anyway.
there might be at least 100. So, but I think you'd be getting down to some like smaller ones by the time you were in the 90s.
Yeah. We will provide 20 pieces of bulletproof vests to every city. I think it needs to be scaled, as you pointed out. By the time you're getting down to it, you're going to get to cities that don't actually have docs.
Yeah.
Cost of bulletproof vest equals $999.99 USD plus shipping. The first batch of 11 vests will be shipped to Edmonton Police Department in honour of Quanto, a police service dog that passed away. Rest in peace, Quanto.
Rest in peace, Quanto. Now, one of her other proclamations that has been slightly more problematic was that people should kill anyone that was giving out vaccines.
Jesus.
This is probably the one that got a bit of attention. Because a bunch of her followers were like, "Radio, whatever you say, Your Majesty," and that sort of sparked a wave of concern.
Because there was a bit of a thing with nurses and stuff being targeted and somewhat attacked, or actually attacked, wasn't there, for a while?
Yeah. I don't think her proclamation led to anything happening, but she did get raided by the Canadian police eventually because of that. And they took her BlackBerries, I believe.
Her BlackBerries?
Her BlackBerry mobile phone.
Currently, 1,137 municipalities hold the title of city, town, or ville in 2011 in Canada.
Oh, so there's at least 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Fair enough. Anyway, at least scale it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched a bit of Rebel News as well talking about this, which is the Cooked Canadian News Network.
Oh, yeah. What did they have to say about it?
CCNN would have been better for their branding.
They were, I think, some of their supporters were like trying to alert them to this lady and being like, "Hey, she's the real queen." And I think there's that kind of realization of like, our people that follow us are idiots, are like more cooked than what we want to be. But then one of them, so in the comments, someone said, you folks must stop criticizing others that claim to be leaders of Canada. Romana may be an illegitimate leader, but Justin Trudeau is illegitimate too. The time acknowledged Trudeau as our legitimate prime minister is over.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I kind of lost what they're saying at the end. Someone else in the comments there has asked about guillotines that were apparently ordered. This must be something that means something to cook people on Telegram. Apparently some paper cutter guillotines were ordered, and who knows where they went. But now there are quarantine camps everywhere. So did the guillotines end up there?
So has the government ordered the guillotines?
It's not really clear, but this person says, "So I ask, who got the guillotines and when? I will wait for a reply."
I think that maybe what has happened there is they've found some document about, the government buying stationery, and they've bought we've bought this many hole punches, we've bought this many guillotines for, slicing papers in half, not the neck chopping type. And they've been stocking up on guillotines.
Yeah.
We've got them. Because as per usual, they have no idea about real life. Like simple life things pass them by.
Another comment. This is another video. But you know how they were doing the big trucker thing in Canada? Is that still going?
I would say if it's anything like the Australian one, which is there's still some stragglers, there must be at least a few people that are still doing it. But I think the main bit of it is over.
I think it's just kind of getting fashier and fashier, but smaller and smaller.
Yeah. I think in America, maybe their one is still going, but it stopped being like a convoy to anywhere, and it's just like driving around. Right. At some point, like driving around has to become unprofitable. What are the petrol prices like over there in Westport, New Zealand, Robbo?
Oh, unpleasant. We're paying. We actually went through a small town just inland earlier today. It was $3.20 a litre,
Far out, Brussels sprout. Is that leaded or unleaded?
I don't think you can get leaded anymore.
All right. Is it unleaded or diesel?
91 unleaded. So like the basic, the cheapest.
With a little, you got a little ethanol in there, mate. Little spin in your petrol.
We don't do that here. That's an Australian thing. $3.22 AUD. It's $2.92 Australian. What are you guys paying at the moment?
I paid $2.20 today, I think.
Yeah, that's what I saw last, I think.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. If I was buying petrol every week, I think I'd be very grumpy, but since I'm paying for it every couple of months, I don't mind as much.
That's fair.
But I am a little bit annoyed that, they brought in like all the petrol subsidies over here. Like they briefly subsidize. I think the subsidies are still in place. The price just went up anyway. But they brought that in, but it was like in between me needing to fill up my petrol tank. So I never got to take it. I never got to take advantage.
They're out to get you.
They are.
Anyway, this is a comment on the truckers, one of the truckers videos. If you think the truckers are giving you a hard time, you don't want angry mums. You might have seen angry, but you haven't seen mum angry.
Very true.
Yep.
Mums can get quite irate.
They can. They just live for it. Yeah.
So yeah.
What I was kind of a little bit surprised how little there was with the Queen of Canada. I shouldn't be surprised by these sorts of things anymore, I guess, because like this whole current world of QAnon is just so fucking flimsy. Here we are.
There's not a lot to her. She just commands this audience. All of these people are like, I'll just stop paying my bills because a woman in Canada said, and it's not just in Canada, it's like in the UK. I see people from the UK being like, oh, I stopped paying me no, you get paid your gyro. They're like, I stopped paying me power bill. I don't know what the slang thing for power is in the UK. Stop paying me lecky. And they shut it off.
You said so many things there, I didn't know what they were.
Yeah, but it's like all over the world, people are listening to this person who has cultivated this cult of personality in spite of having no personality whatsoever.
None at all. Just nothing. Hey,
meanwhile, I will just say though, in Australia, we have like a fake king. We have King Stephen Spears, who is, I would say, crass and vulgar and unpleasant, but you would have to say he does have a bit of personality. It's not one that you would want to spend a huge amount of time with, but he's like wildly unpopular. Although he has some followers, but not like tens of thousands of followers. And I always feel a bit bad when I see Queen Romana doing so well, thinking that our Aussie king is doing so poorly.
Yeah. You must look at Queen Romana and yourself and look at the numbers and be like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Diversification of language, it seems to be.
Yeah, you got to put it out in French and Spanish.
See.
Ho, 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 ho.
Do you guys want something to tie this all up?
Oh, go on, Robbo. I'd love a little tie up.
There's a Facebook post going around in, I think, Canada, saying that the Queen was found guilty in a missing children case. This is, I can't remember the debunking website or the fact check website I got this from, but the post states that a whistleblower was incarcerated for daring to ask superiors about Queen Elizabeth's outstanding arrest warrant, which was supposedly issued in 2013 by the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels, and led to the Queen and Prince Philip being found guilty in the disappearance of 10 native children from the Catholic-run Kamloops residential school. They weren't found guilty at all, and the International Common Law Court of Justice is not a real court or legalized body, legally recognized body. This kind of does speak to a few things that we've mentioned, how all these fuckwits doing these fuckwit things gets in the way of actual, like, good things.
Yeah, like people getting stuff done.
Yeah, like this huge, the Indigenous kids in Canada is really awful. Like the mass graves, like that's, you don't need to add made up layers to that to somehow make it seem more dramatic.
Yeah.
And by doing so, you've just you make things worse. Yeah, that was a fun note to end on.
So big thumbs down to Queen Romana. Yep, thumbs down from both of you.
Yes.
Yep.
And a big thumbs down to the bloody fake Queen of England.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say thumbs down to royals in general.
Yeah, except Lordy's Royals, right?
Oh, Lord, the New Zealand singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song. You know, when I get
name Lordy or just Lord?
It's just Lord.
Come on, Cam.
I think Cam's getting them confused with the Eurovision winners from a few years back.
I wish. All right.
I went back and watched some classic 80s and 90s Royal Rumbles recently.
Yeah.
Really, I actually watched some 2000s ones as well. I'm pretty sure they're all on YouTube, like some select ones are. Oh, they're so good. A classic Royal Rumble might be one of the best forms of entertainment. So, look, if you want to get a royal fix, but you don't want to watch Queen Romana, dial up some WWE Royal Rumbles.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing fake about that.
Well, that's our show. Robbo, they can find us on Twitter. We're at Hypothepod, where you recently put up some Mid-Journey art that Salty made for us. And
I did some Dolly Mini.
Some Dollies. We need to... Salty, can we get you back on the Mid-Journey, please?
Yeah.
Because I think I've pushed Dolly Mini to the limits.
I've been watching what some other people have been doing with that as well, with Midjourney, and some of them are putting in like paragraphs worth of prompt info and just getting some insanely amazing results. So we're going to start thinking way more verbosely about what we're feeding into it.
Yeah, not just Alex Jones drinking out of a shoe.
Yeah.
I mean, we still didn't get the result we wanted, so keep pumping in variations on that, I think.
I will say, when I got you to put in Kevin Rudd as a private investigator flying a hang glider, I think it really did Kevin Rudd as a private investigator quite well. He seemed harried, and he had like a sort of disheveled private investigator suit on. At the same time, he probably was slightly disheveled from the hang gliding.
Yeah.
But I felt like it nailed that one. All right, we'll come up with some more elaborate prompts. Robbo, where can they find you?
You can find me at 10 Lyndhurst Street, Westport, New Zealand. Stop on in for some delicious craft brews.
Absolutely just doxed yourself.
Dox yourself, idiot.
No.
Have you got some pies in the warmer there as well, mate?
Nah, we don't do any pies. But if you want BYO pies, we certainly encourage that. Hey, if you bring in a cold pie, I'll heat it up in the oven for you.
Oh, is your beer in like someone's pies or something?
Yeah, two pie places use our beer, Wild West Coast pies, which are kind of the glamour pie of the region at the moment, and for good reason. They're stunning pies. Had one for lunch, actually.
Nice.
I had the venison and steak and cheese. What did I have the other day? I had the Wild Highland beef one, but they're nanny goat and mint gravy. Oh, amazing. But there's another place, shout out to Scarlet Corner, less glamorous, but still makes amazing pies, just as good. Scarlet Corner here in Westport as well.
So if you are in Westport, if you're listening to this and you find yourself in Westport and you want to taste Robbo's beer, either of those pie shops will do the trick.
Yeah.
Don't worry about going to the brewery.
Come on in. We'll give you a little cheese board or a cheese toasty to have with your pie.
Nice.
Salty, my love, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/The Salts.
Where you've been going off?
One and only place that you should find me.
Been seeing some art streams happening again?
Yep. Back on it.
And people can find me at twitter.com/Sexenheimer, where you can be inundated with bad Dolly art. I lost so many followers.
Really?
Yeah. I think I in fairness, I overdid it. However, in fairness to me, people should be, this is what you signed up for. You should know by now. And Yana Passaran is my radio show on 3CR, and we're doing a fundraiser at the moment until the end of June. Right. So 3cr.org.au/donate is where you can donate to the station and say that it's for Yana Passaran. And we're also on Patreon. And thank you to Tammy, our Cook $33 sponsor.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said, don't worry about a thing. I accept. You can definitely hear John Lennon say, I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing. Except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing. Except Donald Trump is clearly a woman, and you're just blind if you can't see that. Why don't you